All right, what's up, guys? I know typically we do this week in review from the comfort of our homes, but as you've been looking, on social media, we've been all over the place. I've been, doing my own thing. Jerome's been doing his own thing. And we finally were able to kind of bring it all together come today. So figured, just as we normally do, give you guys a quick recap of, how the week went. So, we'll be doing that right now for this week in review. So as always, I want to hop into, some of the reminders, make sure that, you can be a part of the conversation by using that hashtag TWnRMNSU. So that's This Week in Review, Movers and Shakers Unlimited. And then we have some other things to get into as well, but I'll save that towards the end so we can hop right into the story. So Jerome, as I said, there was a lot that went down this week. You were at an event, I was at an event. And we had some major news that dropped. So let's start first by talking about, just a recap of CinemaCon. CinemaCon, for those of you that are out there, if you're not familiar with the show, it happens out in Vegas, and it functions the same way, in a similar way, you could say, as Comic-Con, in that where you're having different guests that come to talk about their upcoming projects, but the focus being, instead of it being in pop culture with like comics and other mediums, the focus is there with exhibitors and film. And sometimes, it bleeds into other things just by virtue of, it being a film. So, you still might have, your superhero films that may pop up in there, but it's not the focus. But with that said, there were a lot of things that dropped over the course, of the event this year. And Jerome, like, what are your thoughts on some of the things that were revealed from the show this year?
Well, it's good. Oh yeah, and thanks for joining us, everyone. As you can see, I'm losing my voice because of all this
craziness. Yeah.
But anyway, no, I thought it was interesting. They had we got a title for the sequel to Avatar, The Way of Water. We have names for the Mission Impossible 7. I think it's Death of Reckoning Part 1. So it's a two-parter. So while they're doing Part 8, I don't know if I butchered the name a little bit, but I think that's what it is. And then also there's gonna be a Venom 3. I thought that was pretty inevitable, but hey,
of course, yeah.
Sony's also I guess in that world, Bad Bunny's gonna be playing a character in the Sony Spider-Verse, El Muerto. I think so. I didn't even know about that character, but that's interesting. I think that's a testament to the how famous Bad Bunny is in the Latin American community, where the point where, which is the Spanish genre of music, Latin genre, and I think they just told him, they're like, hey, if there's a character you want to play, just find something. We'll put you in it. And that's basically what he picked that character. And I'm like, I have no idea about that character. I don't know if Brandon you're familiar with. I had no clue. But I think it's pretty cool because we don't really have like a Latino starring like Marvel film or even in Sony. So that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool. I mean, I'm anxious to know how it's gonna play out, but Sony's going hard with these their own spin-offs within the Spider-Verse, the Sony Spider-Verse. So that's interesting. What else? I think they also, also tying into the Marvel release dates. They switched, the Marvels and Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. So the Ant-Man and the Wasp and Quantumania is coming out, I think it's in February 2023. And then the Marvels is coming out in July. And I think it's like a week after like Oppenheimer comes out. So that's going to be interesting that month. So yeah, that's kind of interesting, but hey, I'm anxious to see how they're gonna, what's gonna happen with Kang. That character we'll get to see sooner, I guess, than later.
And I feel like that's a good segue too, because, speaking next, the next thing I wanted to get into is, over the course of this week, I don't know what it was about this week, is that we had, a couple of filmmaker departures. I don't know if it was something in the water, where, we had some, directors leave their projects. So, I mean, we were just talking about Marvel, so with that we have
John Watts.
We have John Watts leaving Fantastic Four, and the what has been publicized is the idea that, you know, he's, you know, tired, you know, understandably so, of doing, you know, those films, you know, back to back to back like that. And you know, outside of doing, outside of what has happened with the Fantastic Four, we also have Justin Lin with the Fast and Furious, Fast 10 franchise. So, I mean, I feel like a lot of times, I'll be honest, I'm normally kind of cynical when you hear like, oh, you know, things are fine and we just needed, you know, we're just decided that we wanted to go in another direction. Like, it's a polite way or a PC way of saying like they had creative differences. Now, with that being said, right, but with that being said, like, I will say, I do believe, you know, what is being, you know, discussed or what has been revealed about, you know, John Watts leaving Fantastic Four. I don't feel that there's like any ill will there. I mean,
I don't think
in that regard, I think it really honestly is just a matter of like, you know, hey, you know, if you're working on something for a really long time, like almost 10 years, and you know, he talked about that of how long, you know, he had been at work of doing, you know, the Spider-Man franchise. And, you know, people forget, yeah, you know, you're working on the projects themselves, but like, just to do the pre-production phase, guys, like that's months, you know, even years, you know, in the making before you even set foot in front of a camera or have any folks start work on the film in a lot of cases, especially for a big project like, you know, like that. So, you know, you have to keep that in mind. You know, they're already, you know, working on these projects long before we even see it, you know, hit the screen. So there's that to keep in mind. Now, the other part, you know, the other film, the other franchise, you know, Fast and Furious, that on the other hand, I'm a little skeptical.
The Rock might have had a point.
I'm a little skeptical on where, you know, there was a statement that was put forth of, you know, initially that Lin, you know, was looking forward to starting work on this upcoming installment. However, as you know, as you will know, there's been a lot of, you know, discussion of issues that have happened, you know, with that franchise, and sometimes friction that has happened among, you know, the ensemble. So, you know, maybe there really is, you know, a lot of truth to that, and kind of, I know we were talking about it offline, Jerome, of, you know, something might have happened that was just the straw that broke the camel's back. Something might have happened where, like, you know, they were like, you know what, I can't move forward. Like, we can't move forward with this. Like, we just have to move on. So, do you have any like?
Yeah, I'll just say, I wasn't really surprised about the John Watts thing, because when I heard that he was signed on for Fantastic Four, I was like, I get why they signed him. Because
the aesthetic and the feel.
No, because it's like, if he can do a Spider-Man franchise, whatever, he should be able to do a Fantastic Four movie. But I'm like, even if you're that passionate, who in their right mind would want to spend another 3 years doing another franchise? Like, if you think about it, the most Marvel really has had is, I mean, usually it's just like, there's only a few solo directors who are helming an actual solo franchise. I mean, you have Peyton Reed doing the Ant-Man franchise. James Gunn's going to finish the Guardians of the Galaxy. Who was the other one? There was one more. I know. No, not tight. Well, I mean, Ryan Coogler. Yeah, well, Ryan Coogler, I would think he probably would finish out Black Panther, but we don't know yet. But it's really those two. I think I'm missing one. Isn't there one more? But anyway, well, the Russo brothers, I feel like, are the only ones who've kind of dipped into two, but they still didn't do 3 each. I mean, they did 2 movies, and they're like, we're done. I mean, they did 2 Captain America films, 2 Avengers. So I'm like, that's the closest I think you've ever gotten where someone's kind of like helming kind of like 2, sort of 2 franchises within the Marvel universe. So that's a big undertaking. I can only imagine John Watts probably just wants to do something different. I mean, he's involved in the new Final Destination film. It's about like developing that. So he probably just wants to do something different. I don't blame him, because I mean, then you kind of get stuck in that. Because if you look at, like, even with Iron Man, Jon Favreau, he only did the first 2. I mean, Taika Waititi, he's doing the last 2 with Thor. And even like other franchises, I mean, they're switching out directors, with the Marvels and Doctor Strange. It's not so. It's a big undertaking. Having said that, the Justin Lin thing, to me, the only thing that's kind of curious is like, he's directed five. Was it the third one, fourth, fifth, sixth, and then the ninth? So he's done 5 movies. I just think it's kind of funny. It's like after 5 movies now. Dude, just kidding out.
Which goes back to what I was saying.
But like you were saying, I think there must have been
something's just like.
But what I'm curious about is how does that contract? I wonder if I guess there must have been something in the contract to be like, oh, you could just bounce. I don't know. Maybe there's some because he's still gonna stay on as a producer.
Right.
So, or maybe who knows? It could be a money. Maybe you make a certain amount of money. You're like, all right, I'll just stay on this. Who knows? It's Hollywood. There's all sorts of reasons, but I just found that kind of weird that you would start shooting and then come out, just bounce. But it is what it is. But
it is. The show must go on. So we'll see. We'll see what comes of it. So, as I mentioned at the top of the show, we'll close off with this, is that we had 2 events that were happening, simultaneously. We were in different places, and we had the White House Correspondents' Dinner that was happening this weekend. We also had HBCU Con happening this weekend. So, Jerome, you want to share about the White House?
You guys probably saw the stuff I posted, so I probably don't have to say much. But I will say, so I went to a few of the pre-parties. The Ellen Chief one, that was kind of fun. It was like, celebrating women, women leaders. And then we went to the Voto Latino one party. That was kind of cool. Just about, get the vote out in the Latino community. This was on Friday. But then the big one Friday was the UTA party. That was crazy. I saw Deezus, from Deezus and Muro. He was there. Shout out to Angie Goff, a local Fox News reporter. She's a good friend. She was up there. Who else was there? Gotta represent Abby Phillip. Well, she's Trinidadian, so I was like, I had to hit her up. She's one of the CNN anchors. But there was other people there too. Even I saw George Conway up there. Kellyanne Conway's husband. Or I think Brooke Shields was there. I didn't see her, but there was a bunch of people, a lot of people. News, the news, of course, because White House Correspondents. It was at Fiola Mar. That's a great venue. You guys will see some videos. Then the actual day of the on Saturday, didn't really get out to go to the earlier stuff, but we were covering the actual red carpet. It is a testament this year with having, obviously new President Joe Biden, and he's actually attending the dinner. There were a lot more celebrities this year. Not as much as when Obama was in office, but there was a lot more. We interviewed Mario Van Peebles, director of New Jack City, actor. He's been in a lot of, solo. He was in Ali, a lot of stuff. Fat Joe was there. Martha Stewart, Fran Drescher. We saw, who else was there? Chris Tucker. I'm trying to remember. So many people. Yeah, of course, a lot of news people. Don Lemon. I think Melinda Gates was there. I didn't see her though. Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson, they took photos and they just walked. So they actually did come. That whole idea of them not coming, BS. That was probably their publicist just trying to put it out there. But it's all good. Yeah, there was a good amount of other people there. It's funny. I talked to Deezus and he didn't walk the carpet, so who knows? It was weird. But yeah, you had a good mix of like I said, some people in the hip hop community. You had some people, you have media, journalists, politicians. You had actors. Not as many. I didn't see as many filmmakers there, but it had some athletes there also. So yeah, there's a lot of good sound bites and a lot of good people there. And then the after parties. Trevor. I didn't see Trevor Noah, but obviously, if you saw the dinner, he did a pretty good job. And it's funny. And Joe Biden actually was there, and he told his jokes. So it's good to see that we're kind of getting back to normal, because before, we haven't there hasn't been a dinner in the last 2 years because of the pandemic, and then the 4 years that when Trump was in office, it's like he didn't even attend, so it's just not the same. And also the level of parties. So then the after parties that I did hit up was the best one, the one that was another good one was the one at the Smithsonian Museum for African American History and Culture, and it was like in honor of April Ryan. She's a a journalist. And like Mary J. Blige performed there, and you know, it's a lot of the same people were out there, like Fat Joe and Chris Tucker. Actually, I saw some other people, like Sunny from The View, she was there. I saw Vivica A. Fox. I was like, it was random. So it was interesting. It's also, and I saw one of the Real Housewives of Potomac. I think it was Giselle. She was like asking me like what street we were on. I was like, yeah, I'm showing her my phone. So the whole idea is like, it's also interesting, I will say, because there were other parties we could have gone to, and it was just, or you know, for whatever reason we didn't. It's so many going on at the same time, so timing. But it's interesting to see who was at this party, and honestly, I think that was the best one. I mean, okay, it's the only one I went to, but I think it was like the best one probably to be at, because like, I mean, Mary J. Blige performed, she killed it. I mean, it was amazing. I mean, she's great live. I mean, that's the second time I think I've seen her live, but yeah, and Byron. I think Byron Allen was like one of the main sponsors or hosts, and I didn't see him. He might have left earlier, but he was definitely there. And also, I saw Torre. I don't know. There's a lot of people, music journalists, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. She was there. Yeah, it's a lot of people. So it's a really interesting intersection. Lost my voice now. I mean, there were some brunches this morning. Didn't really get a chance to hit them up, but you know. But it was a good week though. We got some good stuff. Good, you know, you'll see the clips on there. And yeah, man.
Yeah. You know, this was the first time we also had HBCU Con, which you guys also saw, and that was happening this weekend. And if you guys aren't familiar with HBCU Con, it's a con that was here at Bowie State University, still currently here now. As things, you know, are starting to wrap up, and, you know, to have a Comic-Con that also, shines a light, you know, on the black space, on black culture, because, you know, as you have, and you'll see it in a lot of the interviews, or comment on a lot of the interviews, you know, don't get me wrong, like, con culture is awesome, and I love it, you know, I love it a lot, but it's still also great to have, you know, to have an additional, you know, light shined on, you know, on black culture as well. So, you know, you have that component, you know, going for the event. Yep. Got the badge there. Yeah. You have those components there, you know, you have, you know, step shows and we had, the Bowie State, band, I want to say Symphony of Soul, which was cool. You know, they played over the course of the show, which was awesome. You guys can check that out on our YouTube, because I was able to capture a snippet of it. So yeah, like, and the thing that's crazy, I mean, it's been going down for like a couple of years now, and, you know, at this point, there's so many cons out there, guys, that, you know, sometimes I feel like a lot of cons, you know, unfortunately, you know, fall through the cracks, and, you know, you just kind of, you lose sight sometimes of some of a lot of the awesome ones that are out there that you still need to check out. And so, you know, like I said, this was my first year going. It'll definitely be cool to, you know, to come back, you know, now that things are starting to slowly, you know, just as Jerome was saying, you know, get back to normal. So yeah, it was an eventful weekend. You know, and we still have some other things coming up in the coming week. You know, of course, we still wrapping up with Star Trek. So, you know, you guys probably saw that we had a Star Trek show, which you probably will see as the prior post just prior to this one. I know this is a live stream, but the post itself, you can find the YouTube link in the prior post just down below for the penultimate episode of Star Trek Picard. We'll be wrapping that show up come next week, and I know it's Mother's Day weekend, so with it being Mother's Day weekend, shout out to all the moms early right now.
Shout out to all the moms
out there early right now, by the way. But you know, in lieu of that being Mother's Day weekend, instead of our Star Trek show happening on Sunday, it'll be on Saturday. So you can look for that on Saturday at 11 o'clock. We'll have Ulysses, so shout out Ulysses Campbell. He'll be back to join us as a guest host to wrap up season 2 of Picard with that season finale episode. And then, of course, we also have another Star Trek show that will be commencing over the course of this coming week, and that's going to be Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Again, with it being Mother's Day weekend, we're going to have a bye week for that show. But we will be returning for Star Trek Strange New Worlds the weekend following Mother's Day weekend. And we'll have Chris Pamon back, who, many of you know Chris out there, who's our connoisseur when it comes to, comic, pop culture shows, Comic-Cons, what have you. So, be on the lookout for that. And yeah, even outside of that, there will be, more interviews, more shows, more exclusives that will be on the way. Jerome, before we wrap up here, can you tell folks where they can find you?
Oh, and thanks for joining us for
Yes.
episode 59. So we appreciate the love. Episode 59. If you want to follow me or just check out, what I've been doing, you can go to JW Bourgeois 21. That's JW Bourgeois 21 for Instagram or Twitter. If you want to follow us on Instagram for Movers and Shakers, you can go to Movers Shakers Unlimited. On Twitter or Facebook, it's Move and Shake UNLTD. That's Move and Shake UNLTD. And then if you want to support us on Patreon, go to patreon.com/Movers Shakers Unlimited. And of course on YouTube, like, subscribe, tell your family, friends, same sort of thing. Click on the little bell so you can get the feed. And we're gonna keep bringing you great stuff, until our voices go out.
Right.
That's how we do. We have a good time. Gotta go rest and recover for the next time. But man, it's been a great week. And just also let us know. There's a whole bunch of stuff so we don't mind switching it up because it's two of us, so we can split it up too. So I'll pass it back to you.
Divide and conquer, yeah, for sure. So again, I'm Brandon Troy, host and co-creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. You can find me at Brandon Troy ENT on Twitter and Brandon Troy _ENT on Instagram. And then also, just as Jerome was saying, you can, and I'll point over here because I'm going to place it down here afterwards. Make sure you're hitting that like and subscribe button for our YouTube. Helps us out a lot. We're getting on, having nice momentum going there, and we're on pace to, hit a milestone that we are, looking to hit. So, anything that you guys are able to do to help, with that would be very much appreciated. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. Be safe out there, and see you soon.
Peace out.
Peace.